If you think your dog licks you just because of food or sweat, you're wrong. What it really means will break your heart. That small, ordinary act you've seen 1,000 times isn't about habit or hunger. It's a hidden language, a love letter pressed into your skin without words. And that's why this video is called, "Why Does My Dog Lick Me Every Day?" Here's what it really means. Don't scroll away, because if you do, you'll miss the one meaning that has made countless senior dog parents cry the moment they understood it. We'll explore why dogs lick, why they tilt their heads as if searching our souls, and why they curl beside us in silence when no one else is there. So let's begin with the first message, the one every dog parent over 60 has felt in their bones, the quiet empathy of a companion who comforts you without a single word. Number 1. Empathy, emotional support. There are days when you don't say a word, when your body feels heavy, and your heart even heavier. You sit down in silence, and then without being called, your dog appears. They don't demand, they don't bark. They simply rest their head on your chest or curl against your side, breathing in rhythm with you. It feels small, but science tells us it's profound. In studies of dogs and their owners, researchers found that when a person is stressed, a dog's heart rate and breathing often shift to match their human, as if your pain has spilled into their chest and they quietly say, "I'll carry it with you." For a senior living alone, that moment is more than comfort, it's medicine. That warm weight against you is like a living quilt wrapping you in safety when the world outside feels too cold. And here's the part most people miss: this kind of empathy isn't taught. You can't train a dog to read the sorrow in your eyes or the tremor in your voice. They just know. They feel it like a soulmate stepping into the silence where no one else dares to go. If you've ever wondered whether your dog truly understands you, this is the answer. They don't just see you, they feel you. And every quiet nudge, every sigh against your chest is their way of saying, "Don't worry, you're not alone, not as long as I'm here." But empathy is only the beginning. Because the moment their tongue touches your skin, it opens another chapter in this love story, one that bonds you together, heals their stress, and sometimes even your own. Number 2, licking. Bonding and stress relief. Think about it. That wet little tongue on your hand, your face, even your arm, it isn't random, it isn't clumsy. It's your dog's most ancient ritual of love. Long before leashes and dog beds, wolf pups licked their mothers to bond, to survive, to say, "You are my safety, my world." And that ritual still lives in your living room, repeated every single day. When your dog licks you, it's like they're stitching invisible threads between your heart and theirs. Science backs this up. In one study, dogs that engaged in friendly touch and licking showed a surge in oxytocin, the very hormone we humans call the love chemical. In other words, every lick is nature's way of saying, "You and I belong together." But there's another side to this story. Licking isn't only about you. Sometimes it's about them. For many dogs, licking is self-soothing, just as some of us hum to ourselves or wrap a blanket tighter. When anxious dogs use licking to calm their racing thoughts. And when they lick you, it's as if they're sharing that therapy with you, pouring their relief into your skin. For older dog parents, this act is more than affection, it's reassurance. Each gentle swipe of the tongue whispers, "We are family. I'm here. We'll be okay." It is both a balm for their nerves and a blessing for your soul. But don't think licking is the only way your dog speaks, because sometimes love doesn't come through touch at all. Sometimes it comes through the way they tilt their head like a child, trying to understand every word you say. And that's the moment when empathy turns into a dialogue. Number 3, head tilt, active communication and understanding. You've seen it 100 times. You're talking, maybe telling a story no one else is listening to, and suddenly your dog tilts their head, eyes wide, ears alert, as if every word you say is the most important sound in the universe. That tilt isn't just cute. It's a window into their mind. Researchers believe dogs tilt their heads to process sound, to filter meaning, to read not only your words, but the tremble in your voice, the sigh at the end of a sentence. When your dog cocks their head, they're not just hearing, they're studying your soul. It feels like standing in front of someone who refuses to look away, who leans in closer when the rest of the world walks past. That little tilt is their way of saying, I'm listening. I care. Keep talking to me. For someone in their 60s or 70s, that gesture can feel like a miracle. In a world that often grows quieter with age, where fewer people call and fewer truly listen, your dog becomes the one who leans in, who refuses to let your voice fade. That tilt is not curiosity alone, it is devotion in motion. And here's the part that should keep you watching dogs that tilt their heads. Often scientists say may have a stronger bond with their owners, almost like a child leaning into a parent's story. So the next time you see that little tilt, know this, it isn't just cute. It's proof your dog is trying to build a bridge between your heart and theirs. But the language of love doesn't end with listening. Sometimes it shows up when you walk through the door after being away, and your dog erupts with joy, tail whipping, tongue racing, body trembling, like you've just returned from the ends of the earth. And that greeting holds a secret meaning that most owners never realize. Number 4, greeting and licking when you return home. Open the door, and before you can even take off your shoes, a storm of fur and love crashes into you. The tail is whipping like a flag in the wind. The paws are leaping, and then that tongue, relentless, wet, unstoppable, covers your hands, your face, whatever it can reach. You may think they're hungry, they're bored, they just missed me a little. But the truth is much deeper. In the wild, wolves greet pack members with exuberance after even short separations. It's survival, a reunion ritual. For your dog, that instinct has transformed into something sacred. Your return is the highlight of their day, the proof that their universe is still intact. And here's where science paints the picture even clearer. A study published in Current Biology found that when dogs are reunited with their owners, they actually produce more tears, a response linked to oxytocin, the same hormone that bonds mother to child. So when your dog rushes you, licks you, like you've come back from war, their body is literally overflowing with love. For someone living alone, for someone whose house has grown quiet over the years, this moment can feel like resurrection. It's as if every lick says, "You're back. You're safe. My world is whole again." But don't think this daily greeting is the end of the story, because sometimes licking carries another meaning, one tied not to celebration, but to longing and unease. Dogs also lick to soothe themselves when the weight of separation presses too hard. And if you've ever wondered why the licking doesn't stop, that's where the next truth comes in. Number 5. Licking as self-soothing and separation anxiety. Sometimes the licking doesn't stop. It's not just a quick kiss on your hand or a joyful greeting at the door. It goes on and on like a song stuck on repeat. And while part of it is love, another part is something far more fragile. Your dog is trying to calm their own storm. Dogs, like people, can be haunted by absence. When you leave even for a short while, the house echoes with silence that they can't explain away. Licking becomes their blanket, their prayer, their way of pressing pause on the loneliness. Just as some of us pace the floor or hold onto a photograph in the night, dogs use their tongues to soothe the ache of waiting. Science agrees. Research on separation-related behaviors shows that licking often spikes when dogs feel fear or frustration at being apart. Their bodies search for comfort, and they find it in the rhythm of that repetitive motion. And when they lick you the moment you return, it isn't just about joy, it's about relief. Like exhaling after holding your breath too long. For an older dog parent, this can be bittersweet. Every long lick is love, yes, but it's also a whisper of vulnerability. I'm scared when you're gone. I need you close. It's a reminder that just as you lean on them for emotional support, they lean on you too. But here's the catch, and this is why you must keep watching. When licking crosses the line into obsession, it can signal something more serious stress that refuses to fade or even a hidden illness. And that's the truth we'll uncover next. Because sometimes, too much love is a quiet cry for help. Number 6. Excessive licking, a warning sign. There's love in every lick, yes, but what happens when it never stops, when the tongue seems restless, when the rhythm turns frantic, when the act that once felt sweet begins to feel desperate? That's when love may be hiding something else. Dogs sometimes lick beyond affection, beyond bonding. They lick because something inside them is unsettled. It can be anxiety that gnaws like a shadow in the corner, or even discomfort buried deep in the body-stomach issues, skin irritation, or silent pain they cannot explain to you in words. What looks like devotion may sometimes be desperation. Veterinary studies have linked excessive licking with gastrointestinal problems, stress disorders, even chronic discomfort. Imagine it as a red light flashing in the middle of that love story, a signal that says, "Please look closer. Something's not right." For senior dog parents, this truth is hard to swallow. We want to believe every lick is joy, every kiss is a gift, and most of the time it is. But ignoring the signs when licking becomes obsessive can mean missing your dog's quiet cry for help. And the last thing any of us want is to mistake suffering for affection. But here's why you shouldn't turn away now. Because after this warning comes a revelation that heals. Not every lick is danger. In fact, most licks are pure devotion. And the next behavior shows you why your dog's forgiveness and unconditional love might just be the most powerful language of all. Number 7. Forgiveness and unconditional love. You've seen it before. You scold your dog for barking at the mailman. You trip over them in the hallway and snap in frustration. For a moment, guilt rises in your chest. But before you can even finish your apology, there it is, the tail wagging like a flag in the wind, the eyes soft as twilight, and sometimes even a little lick as if nothing ever happened. That is forgiveness in its purest form. Dogs don't keep ledgers of mistakes. They don't carry yesterday into today. They live in the present moment, and in that present, their love is always greater than your flaws. Imagine if people lived like that, if every hurt was erased with a glance, if every argument dissolved with a single wag of the tail. Science can explain some of this. Dogs don't ruminate the way humans do. Their brains aren't wired to replay grudges. Instead, their survival depends on moving forward, on rejoining the pack, on keeping the bond alive. For them, love isn't a memory or a promise, it's a constant like breath itself. For a senior dog parent, this forgiveness can feel like a blessing. In a world where regrets often pile high, where family can be distant or critical, the dog is the one companion who says, "You are enough. Even in your flaws, you are loved." That's why so many older owners describe their dogs not just as pets, but as healers. And yet forgiveness is only one voice in this silent language. Because sometimes your dog does more than forgive. They tilt their head, they paw your arm, they vocalize in ways that feel almost human, like they are trying to speak to, bridge the final gap between species. And that's where the next secret waits, one that may leave you speechless with wonder. Number 8. Vocalization and dialogue. One morning you're sipping your coffee, and instead of silence, you hear it: a soft whine, a gentle groan, maybe even a playful howl. Your dog isn't barking at strangers or begging for food. No, this sound feels different. It feels like conversation. Dogs are masters of silence, yet when the bond grows deep enough, silence breaks into sound. Some breeds, like huskies or malamutes, are famous for their talking, but even the quietest lapdog will sometimes hum, whimper, or murmur in a way that feels eerily human. These aren't random noises. They are attempts at dialogue, a bridge of sound stretched across the space between your heart and theirs. Think of it this way: every whine is a question, every sigh is a reply. When you answer back, yes, even in baby talk, they recognize the rhythm. It becomes your private language, a secret duet no one else understands. Science tells us that dogs adjust their pitch and tone in response to human voices, just as if they're learning the grammar of your love. For seniors, this can feel like a miracle. In a world where phones may ring less often and conversations grow fewer, your dog becomes the one who keeps talking. Their voice may be rough, clumsy, unfinished, but it is proof they are trying desperately to meet you halfway. And here's what should give you chills: the more you respond, the more they respond back. It's not noise, it's connection. It's as if your dog is saying, "Don't just pet me, talk to me. I want to be heard too." But as powerful as these sounds are, there is another gesture, even more haunting one, that needs no noise at all. The way your dog offers you their most vulnerable place, their belly, and waits, trusting you completely. And that's the secret we'll uncover next. Number 9. Belly up, the ultimate trust. One day you glance down, and there they are, flat on their back paws, loose in the air, belly exposed like an open book. No animal in the wild would ever do this. The belly is the most fragile place, the soft underbelly where a single strike could end a life. And yet, your dog offers it to you freely, like a soldier laying down his armor at your feet. It may look playful, an invitation for a belly rub, but in truth, it's deeper. That belly-up position is a surrender, a confession that says, "I trust you with my life." It's one of the oldest instincts in pack animals. Only when they feel utterly safe will they roll over, spine pressed to the ground, heart turned upward. For older owners, this act carries even greater weight. Because in a world where trust often feels fragile, where people may disappoint, where family may misunderstand, your dog gives you the gift of pure, unguarded faith. No hesitation, no condition. Just trust wide open as the night sky. And here's the beautiful paradox: even if you never touch that belly, the act itself is enough. It isn't about the rub, it's about the offering. Dogs show their truest love, not through words, but through this silent surrender. But here's where the story bends again. Because sometimes trust doesn't just lie quietly on the floor. Sometimes it follows you step by step, room to room, shadow to shadow. And that devotion, relentless and unshakable, reveals another truth you cannot ignore. Number 10. Following you everywhere. The living shadow. You step into the kitchen and there's the soft patter of paws right behind you. You move to the balcony and they slip through the doorway before you. You even close the bathroom door and somehow they're waiting outside, patient as a guardian. It feels almost comical, this shadow that never leaves your side. But it is not comedy. It is devotion in its purest form. In the wild, dogs are pack creatures. Separation meant danger, meant being left behind to wolves' storms or hunger. And so the instinct still lingers. Stay close to the leader. Stay close to the one who holds your world together. When your dog follows you room to room, it is not fear. It is not boredom. It is love wrapped in loyalty, a silent vow that says, "Where you go, I go." For seniors, this devotion can feel overwhelming, even tenderly suffocating. But when the house grows quiet and the phone no longer rings, that steady presence is medicine. It is proof that someone is always there, that you are never truly alone. Every footstep echoes with the comfort of companionship. Every shadow carries the warmth of belonging. And yet there's something else hiding in that devotion. Because sometimes following isn't just about loyalty, it's about longing. A dog who follows too closely may be watching your every move for one reason: they cannot bear the thought of losing you. And in that fear lies another powerful message. One we'll uncover in the next behavior, a message written not in footsteps, but in the gentle press of a paw against your leg. Number 11. The gentle paw, reaching for connection. You're reading or maybe lost in thought when you feel it, a soft weight pressing against your arm, a paw resting gently on your lap. No words, no bark, just that quiet touch. It's as if your dog is asking, "Are you still here with me?" This gesture may look simple, but it carries the weight of trust. In the animal world, extending a paw is an act of vulnerability. They're reaching out the way a child reaches for a parent's hand in the dark, not to demand, not to control, but to connect. And science reminds us that this contact can reduce stress in both dog and human, synchronizing hearts and lowering tension, as if nature itself whispers, "Stay calm, you're safe together." For older dog parents, that paw is more than attention-seeking. It is reassurance in flesh and bone, a reminder that you matter in every moment. When loneliness creeps in, when silence becomes heavy, that paw is like an anchor to the present, a living reminder that love is still reaching for you. But here's what keeps this so moving. Even after scolding them, even after frustration, the paw returns. Forgiveness flows through their veins faster than resentment ever could. It is as if your dog is saying, "Whatever happened, I'm still here." Let's begin again. And yet, there is one more gesture, even more haunting one, that doesn't reach out to you, but instead tilts inward, literally. A small, crooked angle of the head, eyes, wide ears, perked a look that makes you wonder, are they truly trying to understand me? And that's the next secret we'll unfold. Number 12. Head tilt. The listening heart. You speak and suddenly their head tilts to the side, ears pointed, eyes locked, as if the universe has narrowed down to nothing but your voice. That little crooked angle is more than cute. It's a question, a doorway, a silent promise I'm listening. Please keep talking. Scientists believe this gesture helps dogs process sound, filtering your words' tone and even your emotion. But to anyone who has lived long enough to feel unheard, it feels like a miracle. Imagine a friend who never interrupts, who leans closer when your voice grows tired, who tilts their head not to doubt you, but to honor every syllable. That's what your dog gives you, attention as pure as devotion. For older owners, this moment often strikes the deepest. In a world that sometimes brushes past their stories, where voices of the elderly fade into background noise, the dog becomes the one audience that never leaves. That tilted head is more than curiosity. It's compassion shaped into posture, empathy made visible. And here's what makes this even more powerful. Studies suggest that dogs who tilt their heads more often may have stronger memory and bond with their owners, like students eager to memorize the teacher's every word. So the next time you see that tilt, remember it isn't just cute. It's your dog telling you. Your voice matters. Your story matters. You matter. But if the tilt is the sign of listening, there is another act that goes even further, the act of answering back. Because when love grows deep enough, silence breaks into sound, and your dog begins to talk in their own way. And that is the next secret waiting for you. Number 13, vocalization, talking back with love. It begins softly. A low whine when you sigh. A gentle groan as you shift in your chair. And sometimes when the bond grows strong enough, it bursts into full sound, a howl at dawn, a playful growl in the evening, a melody only you and your dog understand. This isn't noise. This is dialogue. Dogs may not shape words, but they shape feeling. Every whimper is a question. Every murmur is a reply. Every howl is a chorus to your story. Some breeds are famous for it, like huskies who speak in tones that echo through mountains. But even the quietest companion will in time find their voice for you. Because love refuses to stay silent. Science supports what our hearts already know. Dogs adjust their pitch and rhythm to mirror us, bending their sounds to match our language, as if they're trying to break the final barrier between species. And for seniors, this sound can feel like a gift, a reminder that someone still wants to converse, still wants to hear and be heard, even if the words are unspoken. Imagine it, the world outside grows quieter, with age calls come less often, doors open less frequently. Yet inside your home, your dog is singing with you, telling you in their own imperfect symphony, I am here. I hear you. Talk to me, and I'll answer. But as moving as this dialogue is, there is a gesture, even more profound one, that doesn't rely on sound at all. It is written in silence, carved into trust, when your dog chooses to forgive you faster than you can forgive yourself. And that, my friend, is the next secret we're about to uncover. Number 14, forgiveness, love without memory. You raise your voice, maybe sharper than you meant to. You trip over them in the hallway and mutter in irritation. For a moment, guilt stings. You expect distance, maybe even resentment. But then you look down and there it is, the wagging tail, the soft eyes, sometimes even a gentle lick across your hand, as if your mistake never happened. Dogs carry no grudges. They don't keep a record of your flaws, don't replay your harsh words at night the way humans do. Their hearts are unburdened by memory, living only in the present moment where love outweighs everything else. Imagine a world like that, where every wrong could dissolve in an instant, where every failure could be erased by a glance. Your dog already lives in that world, and every day they invite you to join them there. Science tells us dogs simply aren't wired for resentment the way we are. But perhaps it's more than wiring. Perhaps it's a choice of the heart to see you not as perfect, but as theirs. For seniors who carry decades of regrets, this kind of forgiveness can feel like absolution, a quiet grace offered by a creature who only asks that you keep showing up. That's why, when you look into those forgiving eyes, it feels less like ownership and more like salvation. Your dog is not keeping score. They are reminding you, you are enough. You are loved. Let's begin again. But love isn't just about forgiving the past. Sometimes it's about anticipating your future, leaning into your words, tilting ahead as if deciphering every secret thought you've ever had. And that's where the final secret waits, one that proves your dog isn't just listening with their ears, but with their heart. Number 15, head tilt. The listening soul. You speak and suddenly their head turns just a tilt, small and curious yet powerful enough to melt the hardest day. Eyes wide, ears tuned, body still. It feels as though the whole world has stopped and only your voice remains. Scientists explain this tilt as a way to process sound, to make sense of words and tone. But anyone who has lived with a dog knows it's more than mechanics. That crooked angle is devotion sculpted into posture. It's your dog leaning not just into sound, but into your very spirit. For older owners, this moment can be like a balm. In a life where voices sometimes fade, where stories aren't always heard, your dog becomes the listener you've longed for. Every tilt says, your voice matters. Your story matters. You matter. Imagine how healing that feels for someone who has lost, for someone who aches, for someone who thought silence would be their only companion. And here's the wonder studies suggest: dogs who tilt their heads more often may have stronger memory and deeper bonds with their humans. So what looks like a simple, cute pose is in truth a sign of intelligence and love entwined. It's as if your dog is memorizing your voice, storing it away, like a treasure they never want to lose. But the tilt is more than curiosity. It is conversation without words, empathy without language. It is your dog whispering, "Keep talking. I'm here. I'll always be here." And that, dear friend, brings us to the heart of it all. Because when you weave together the licks, the paws, the forgiveness, the following shadows, and the tilts of the head, they all tell the same story, one unshakable truth about what you mean to your dog. So now you know. Every lick, every paw, every tilt of the head has never been random. From the moment you step through the door to the quiet hours before sleep, your dog has been writing you a love story, one gesture at a time. We began with a question: why does your dog lick you every day? And the answer is both simple and breathtaking. They lick because they love. They lick because they trust. They lick because in their world, you are not just a person. You are their family, their safety, their reason to breathe. For seniors, this truth carries even more weight. In a life that sometimes feels quieter, smaller, more fragile, your dog fills the silence with devotion. They forgive your flaws, they listen to your voice, they follow your steps, and they offer their belly, their paw, their heart, all without condition. Science may measure oxytocin, may track heartbeats and hormones, but science cannot fully capture the way a dog looks at you after a long day, or the way a lick on the hand can melt years of loneliness in an instant. That is not chemistry. That is love, raw and eternal. And here's the final truth. Your dog does not love you because you are perfect, wealthy, or young. They love you because you are theirs. Because one day you opened your door, you knelt to the floor, and you said, "I'm here." From that moment, you became their universe. So the next time that little tongue touches your skin, don't brush it off. Pause. Feel it. Know that in that fleeting second, your dog is saying the 3 words no language can capture better: I love you. If this touched your heart, if you've ever felt the weight of your dog's love and forgiveness, stay with us here at Paw&Heart. Subscribe, share your story in the comments, and let's build a place where every senior dog parent knows they are not alone, and neither are their dogs.